There's that old cliche that life doesn't come with an instruction manual.
Right.
And people usually say that when they're, I don't know, trying to build IKEA furniture or figure out why a toddler's screaming. But I've been thinking about it on a much, much deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
We spend decades just sort of guessing, am I supposed to chase a career?
Mm.
Should I be selfless? Is the government my friend or my enemy? We just trial and error our way through.
And usually with a lot of error, we bump into walls, we make wrong turns, and we just assume that's how it's supposed to be.
Exactly. So when you brought this text to the table for our deep dive today, 18 truths you need to understand to be a person, I was expecting, honestly, something a little fluffy.
Like, be kind, drink more water.
Yeah, call your mom,
Oh.
usual self-help stuff.
And instead, you got something a bit sharper.
Sharper is an understatement.
Oh.
This text by an author named Su Feng, it feels like this strange collision between a high-level spiritual manifesto and a really gritty survivalist handbook.
That's a perfect way to frame it.
It has these moments of, metaphysical philosophy, and then it just pivots to this incredibly cynical, almost brutal view of society.
It's a very specific, very intense worldview.
Yeah.
And look, we aren't here to endorse it. Some of this is, frankly, pretty radical stuff.
For sure.
But we are here to understand its internal logic. Shui Feng is basically arguing that there is an instruction manual, but the rules are not at all what we've been told.
Okay, so let's crack this manual open. It seems like it's all built on a foundation of how we even view life itself.
Precisely. You have to start with the macro view.
Before we get to money or marriage or any of that.
Exactly. Point one sets the stage right away. It says, life is just a trip for life in the human world.
A trip, like a vacation.
Or maybe a business trip. The key is the distinction between your daily life, your job, your mortgage, your stress, and life with a capital L, the journey of your soul.
So our time here as a human is just temporary, a stopover.
Just a stopover.
Which sounds kind of relaxing at first. It's just a ride. But then point two comes in with the objective of the trip. And this is where I got a little skeptical.
Okay.
It says the main channel, the only valid goal, is pursuing happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss.
Right.
But isn't that just hedonism? I mean, if I'm just here for a good time, why not just quit my job and go party on a beach until my money runs out?
And that is exactly the trap. If you stop reading at point two, you do become a hedonist. But you have to connect it with point 17 and point 18 to understand how the author defines happiness.
It's not beer and beach days.
It's not beer and Dutch days.
Okay, so point 17 calls for reverence.
Reverence for God, reverence for life, and reverence for nature. The text argues you can't have that high-level bliss if you're, arrogant or disconnected from the source of life.
And then point 18 doubles down. It says the highest quality human is the selfless person.
Mm-hmm.
So, wait, the argument is, you're on a vacation, the goal is to be happy, but the only way to actually get that happiness is to be selfless and reverent.
Exactly. It's a paradox. If you chase selfish pleasure, you end up miserable because you're off the way of nature. But if you chase selflessness, you unlock that main channel of joy.
And everything else, career, fame, stuff, is just a distraction.
Explicitly called side paths.
Detours. Okay, so that's the spiritual framework. It's high level, it's abstract. But this is where the text takes that sharp turn we talked about. Because when you land back on Earth, Shu Feng's view of society gets incredibly dark.
It shifts from spiritualism to what I'd call social realism.
Let's talk about point three. This one really stopped me in my tracks. It's about the nation, the state.
It presents this very stark duality. The text says, if you have power and influence, the country is your cozy nest.
But if you have no power and no influence, the country is your prison.
It's a brutal assessment of leverage. And notice, it's not taking a political side. It's not left or right. It's structural.
Right.
It's just saying the state is a mechanism. If you're at the top, it protects you. If you're at the bottom, it confines you.
It feels incredibly cynical. But it connects directly to point 6, which is all about autonomy. And this rule was, wow, when a person dares not say no to power, then being a slave for life is the inevitable outcome.
That word inevitable is doing a lot of work there.
Yeah, it's not you might get taken advantage of. It's you are a slave.
The author is basically equating your ability to set boundaries with your own humanity. If you can't refuse a request from authority, you've lost your agency. You've become property.
And freedom isn't something that's given to you.
It's asserted.
Okay, so what about the currency of that property?
Yeah.
Money. Point 5 says if you use money to measure value, you've lost your humanity. But then point 10 says, to make people respect you, you must have value.
Ah, I love this distinction because we confuse this all the time.
Net worth versus human value.
Exactly. The text is tearing those two things apart. It argues that money is a corrupt way to measure things. If you judge people by their bank accounts, you are spiritually bankrupt.
But you still need value to earn respect.
Yes, but value here means something different. It's your utility, your character, your capability. Can you solve problems? Do you have wisdom? Are you useful? That's value.
A pile of cash is just a pile of cash.
Right. Relying on money for status is a shortcut that, in the end, devalues you as a human.
So, okay, we've got this person who is spiritually focused on joy, they're skeptical of the government, and they're building internal value, not just wealth. Which brings us to relationships. And honestly, this is where the text kind of lost me.
It advocates for some extreme self-reliance.
It feels incredibly lonely.
Yeah.
Point 9 explicitly says, interpersonal relationships are unreliable.
Very blunt, isn't it?
Very. It said stop networking, stop schmoozing, just go focus on your own survival skills. But humans are social creatures. We need tribes, we need community. Isn't this just going to isolate people?
Well, Schweifing seems to see that kind of social tribe as a crutch. The argument is, if your safety depends on someone else liking you, you're vulnerable. But if your safety depends on you knowing how to fix a roof or grow food or solve a problem, you're secure. It's competence over connection.
So it's not don't have friends, it's don't rely on them for your survival.
That's the idea.
And that philosophy just continues right into the home. We have to talk about point 8, the view on marriage.
Ah, yes. Once married, one willingly surrenders half of one's sovereignty.
A life where the body is not one's own is inevitable. That makes marriage sound like a prison sentence.
It does. It definitely reads like the author has a serious issue with the institution of marriage.
You think?
But if you follow the logic, if your highest value is freedom, remember point 2, the main channel, then marriage is, well, structurally a problem.
Because it's a compromise.
It's a contract of compromise by definition. You are binding yourself to someone else's needs. The text argues you can't be fully free if you are bound to another person's will.
It's logically consistent, I'll give it that. But it is so hard to swallow. And then point 4 completely redefines what family even is.
This one is maybe the most fascinating point to me. It just says biology is irrelevant.
It says, the person who pushes you toward heaven is your relative. The person who blocks your path is your enemy.
Just think about the implications of that. It's a meritocracy of relationships.
It gives you permission to cut off a toxic blood relative.
And to create a powerful bond with a stranger who helps you grow.
It's liberating, but it's also ruthless. It treats people like vectors. Are you moving me at up or down? If it's down, you're an enemy. It doesn't leave a lot of room for gray area.
No, it does not. It's about efficient energy management. The soul's journey is the only thing that matters. Anything that creates drag on that journey is an obstacle.
Okay, so if we're cutting out all this noise-bad relationships, politics, staying single, what are we supposed to be doing? Point 13 has some advice for the common person.
Work silently.
Do not waste time and energy arguing, debating, or bickering.
It's the ultimate don't feed the trolls rule for life.
Uh-huh.
Arguing is just an energy leak. If you're focused on your survival skills and your spiritual bliss, why would you waste breath trying to convince some guy on the internet he's wrong? It serves no purpose.
It's hard to argue with that one, ironically. But let's look at the invisible laws the text claims govern all this.
Yeah.
We've covered the social stuff, but there's a whole section on what I'd call karmic physics.
Yes, theme 4 in our breakdown, how the universe reacts to what you do.
And point 16 is the heavy hitter here, the law of equivalence.
What you get and what you give are always equal in value. This is heaven's way.
It sounds like Newton's third law. For every action, an equal and opposite reaction.
Exactly. And the practical conclusion from that is do not try to get something for nothing.
Which point 11 warns about. As long as you want to take advantage, you will definitely fall into a trap.
The text suggests that free lunches are actually the most expensive things you can get.
How so?
If you get a windfall now without putting in the work, the universe will balance the books later, usually with pain or misfortune. It's a zero-sum game.
Okay, so that brings me to the paradox I wanted to ask you about. We started this by saying the goal of life is happiness and bliss. But point 15 warns against the trap of comfort.
Right. Once you crave comfort and enjoyment, you have embarked on the road of corruption.
So how do you square that circle? Be happy, but don't be comfortable. That feels completely contradictory.
It's a really crucial distinction. Bliss or joy, from point 2, is an internal state. It comes from reverence, selflessness, being in flow.
Okay.
Comfort, from point 15, is an external state of stagnation. It's laziness. It's entitlement.
Yeah.
It's wanting the reward without doing the work.
So enjoying a beautiful sunset is bliss,
Yeah.
but refusing to work because you'd rather sit on the couch and be served, that's comfort.
You got it. The text suggests life is dynamic. You have to keep moving. If you try to build a fortress of comfort and just hide inside, nature will tear it down. Pain and disaster will surely follow.
It's basically saying entropy comes for anyone who stops moving.
It's a call to be active in your own happiness, not passive. And to be clear in your intent, point 14 says if you want help from people or the divine, you have to express your wishes clearly.
No hinting.
No hinting. The universe doesn't read minds, it responds to clear signals. If you're vague, you get vague results.
Okay, now before we wrap up, there is one final rule that feels like a warning label for everything we just talked about.
Yes.
Because my first instinct after reading a list like this is to go tell on my friends, hey, you're doing life all wrong, listen to this.
And point 7 is there to stop you.
The gatekeeper rule.
It explicitly forbids teaching or guiding others unless you meet a very, very high bar.
It says you have to have fully internalized the teachings of Jesus, Buddha, and Laozi.
And if you haven't, if you try to teach without that mastery,
You are already walking on a demonic path.
that is intense.
Why such a harsh penalty for just giving advice? We do it all the time.
It's about the danger of the ego. If you teach from your own intellect, your own biases, your own partial understanding, you are liable to mislead people. You could mess up their trip.
So don't worry about fixing your neighbor until you're basically a saint.
The text is saying, focus on your journey. Fix your survival skills. Clean up your soul first.
It brings us right back to that idea of working silently.
Yep.
It's incredibly humbling. It basically says, you don't know enough to run anyone else's life, so just run your own.
Exactly.
So when we zoom out and look at all 18 of these truths, it's a lot. This is not a warm hug. It's not telling you you're perfect just as you are.
No, it's a strategy guide for a single-player game.
That's a great way to put it. It strips away the illusions that institutions will save you, or marriage will solve loneliness, or that comfort is the goal. It puts all the weight right on your shoulders.
You are responsible for your own joy. You're responsible for your own skills. You're responsible for the traps you walk into and for the clarity of your own requests to the universe.
It's empowering, but it's also kind of terrifying.
As most truth is.
So I want to leave everyone listening with that thought about the trip versus the trap. We talked about how life is a vacation, but seeking comfort is a disaster.
It's the balance between experiencing the ride and falling asleep at the wheel.
Exactly. So here's a challenge for you this week. Pick one of these truths. Just one. Maybe it's saying no to a request you don't want to do, and just seeing if you feel more free.
Or maybe it's clearly asking for what you want instead of hoping someone guesses.
Or maybe it's just staying silent instead of getting into an argument online. Test the law of equivalence. Give some value. See if you get value back.
And just remember, no free lunches.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you on the next one.